Welcome to the Prodigal and the Priest podcast, a podcast about faith, sports, and two friends from different cultures. Here are your hosts, Joey Scansella and Father Paul Bechter.
Yes, Prodigal and the Priest and me. It's time to answer those questions people have. That last one really like 2 episodes ago, should I say, really brought emotion from people. The whole the priest not being baptized.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that's a big thing.
People were talking to us at Mass about it and everything. They're like, what? And then other people I want to find my baptism. And I'm like, I never want to see it. Nope. If I have it, I'm never going to watch it. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Man, I was getting so good at technology and then boom.
No, I think that kind of fit. You could just run with it.
Yeah. Like a re-intro part.
Yeah, kind of we just had our little intro comments, and now we're gonna dive in.
There you go. Okay. Wait, what's our song like?
Yeah, no, you heard it.
Yeah, that's right.
You can make that a drop and just play it.
So want to apologize first. Anybody who tried to watch our last episode on YouTube, you can hear the sound, but apparently I hit a photo instead of the video. I'm sorry. This is a small production thing, okay?
So
I'm trying to do it all. So we can start recording.
We were
with
referring to
your
stuff,
phone,
pointing at things.
We were talking
hey, everybody.
About, yes. So for this one, we were talking about the relic of St. John Bosco.
And you're like, you see the gold thing right on the screen?
Yeah. So all our people. So apologize for last time. You'll still hear the audio put on YouTube, but yeah. So make sure to check us out. YouTube. Spotify, Apple Play, music thing, wherever
all
you
the
can,
things.
all the things, and subscribe to St. Anne Parish on YouTube while you're there. Give it a like, a thumbs up, all of that, and yeah. And if you have a question, you can go to one of two places.
You can go to our email address, Prodigal and the Priest.
Yeah, you can go to our email address, prodigalandthepriest@gmail.com, or you can go to stannparish.org/PTP. So,
not ready to be asked that question.
I know. I threw you off. So to kind of play off that 2 episodes ago, so there's a question regarding a follow-up from that Father Matthew Hood, who was invalidly baptized. So, and I told you before we started, I was like, hey, I did a little research before. I do have a theology catechetics degree, but it looks like nothing compared to, Biblicum over here. And so all of that. But, so the person asks regarding Father Matthew Hood's invalid baptism. Could it be considered valid as baptism of desire, even though the deacon said the wrong word? And so, when I was looking up, Catechism 1258 says this: the church has always held the firm conviction that those who suffer death for the sake of the faith without having received baptism are baptized by their death for and with Christ. This baptism of blood, like the desire for baptism, brings about the fruits of baptism without actually having the sacrament. And so my answer to that would be, if Father Matthew had died, yes, I think there would have been a baptism of desire. His parents intended for it, all of that. But baptism of desire is really applied in the case of death. And so that's how I look at it. Is I understand what they're asking, because they're essentially saying, couldn't we just give it a check mark? It was the parents desired for it, Mm-hmm. Father Matthew apparently, definitely desired that his baptism be valid and all those things. I can't imagine the internal turmoil he has been experiencing, but really baptism of desire applies to situations of baptism that are when that was unable to happen prior to the death or death of blood, like a martyr.
Mm-hmm. No, you did good. Yeah, very good.
I just snapped for myself.
Yeah, you did. I would play claps and stuff, but
you don't know how to.
I don't have access.
Okay. We should switch that one time. I'm nenever going to give you control of that. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, yeah, it's a very, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. It's a very, very Augustinian thing, which is a good thing. So to place this emphasis on where our desire leads us in a relationship with God, I think it's really important to understand just how that works in general in our faith. And I'm not going to get all long-winded about it, but like it's the same dynamic at work in spiritual communion and in an act of perfect contrition. Like those are both desiring a sacrament that you cannot receive at the moment. And by that desire, or in response to that desire, elicited from that desire, God can give us the grace of receiving the fruit of the sacrament,
right,
without actually receiving the sacrament. That's what a baptism of desire is. Specifically, it refers to somebody who is wanting to be baptized, and so you would be an adult to want it,
right,
and unable to be for some reason living under a country where you're being persecuted, or the specific case of martyrdom.
Yeah,
like the Ugandan
martyrs, yeah,
Ugandan martyrs, St. Charles Lwanga.
Yeah.
Same dynamic at work. Like, who knows? Our God is very good and merciful. Probably gave Father Matthew the fruit of that sacrament, but that's not the same thing as saying like, okay, well, receive the fruit. I guess I don't need to be baptized then. Right. God has bound himself is bound. I always get it wrong. God is bound to the sacraments, but is not himself bound.
Right.
Something like that.
I say right. Who knows?
Yeah. I've messed that quote up several times in the last couple of days.
I feel like there's some like real traditionalist priest who is like just like super knowledgeable, who probably just listens to us just like being like, they're so wrong. Just typing up all the errors that we have.
I'd like to see him if I'm in error. No, I want to be told.
You want to fight him. That you heard it here.
Yeah.
Father Paul's going to take on
with this
guy.
anonymous priest. No, I think it's just, it's important to understand that like God's grace is always being offered to us in every moment and seeking us out and drawing us towards him. And that, every good thing that we do, even a good intention or a good desire, is already the fruit of his grace at work.
Right.
But it's leading us towards a fulfillment, which here on earth, our fullest fulfillment, whatever that means, is in receiving the sacraments.
Yeah.
So
and obviously
it's not an either or, it's the one leads to the other, but if it can't lead there for some reason, then like we're not to despair.
Right. And that's where I've only, ever heard it in the case of a desire, like we talked about with a martyr, or, like Nikki and I's case where our daughter passed away, and so we were able to baptize her.
Yeah.
But in that case where a parent, is unable to, that where there's some type of tragedy, or things like that. So, great. Feel like that's good?
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
Okay, see y'all later.
Under 8 minutes for one question. All right. This is from Heather. First off, Heather, thank you for putting your name. Because like so many people are like, anonymous, biggest fan, which don't get me wrong, biggest fan and anonymous, we love you.
Yes.
We love you. But I love also that people are like, hey, here's a name. Okay, so hello. Thanks for the podcast. I'm really enjoying it a lot, and you guys are great. Our family attends St. Anne's, and I participate in a Friday morning St. Anne Bible study that continued over the summer via Zoom. Awesome. Praise God. We just completed a biblical walk through the Mass by Edward Shree. The Bible study briefly touched on preparation of priests before Mass and washing their hands and feet. Lots of backstory, but it calls to mind pro athletes and how some have pregame rituals of backstory, and superstitions and different things. So my question is, Father Paul, what is your pre-Mass ritual? Same to you, Joey. How do you prepare for youth group? I felt like Heather was the nicest person in the world. It was like, I want to ask Father Paul what he does, but
I'm not going to make Joey feel left
I'm not
out.
going to.
You do that other thing too.
You're just the pro. Well, I am like still priest, prophet, and king in my baptism. So, maybe I have a pre-Mass ritual too. Okay. So, but anyway, any athlete pregame rituals you guys like also. So, we'll tackle that one second. So pre-Mass ritual.
Pray. No, it's important. Okay,
Yeah.
so like especially in the life of a diocesan priest, it's kind of a shock how many different things you have to do in a day, and how easy it is to start running from one thing to another, and for Mass just to become one of those things and not to really prepare.
Yeah.
Like that's not uncommon, and so you have to be
Right.
really intentional about it. I'm not saying like I'm perfect, but I do know, like if I was, it's important to pray before and after Mass, whether you're attending or you're celebrating.
Right.
Like to prepare and to make Thanksgiving. My specific preparation in the sacristy is there are prayers associated with each liturgical garment you put on.
Yeah.
And it's really important to me to pray those prayers. So the first thing I do is I wash my hands and I say the prayer when I'm washing my hands. And then I put on the amice, which is called the helmet of salvation and all this stuff. It's just a handkerchief that goes and covers your collar. Then I put on the alb. Then the sanctuary.
Like really to protect it from sweat, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, everything in there has like that's a whole nother episode.
Right,
Everything in there
a
has
meaning,
has
but,
a sort of like practical meaning, and then has like a spiritual significance.
Yeah, symbolism.
Yeah, symbolism too. And they're all really beautiful. The prayers themselves are really beautiful and old prayers. And so there's a prayer associated with each one, and then I say a prayer of intention after that. Like my intention is to celebrate Mass.
Right.
I have a couple prayers I'll say there. And so as far as set prayers, that's what I do, my pregame ritual.
Yeah.
But I do think it's also really important as much as possible to be able to take some time in quiet to just remember this is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
This is heaven come down to earth.
Right. So let me then be a little controversial for a moment.
Do it.
Because I love that. I'm going to take Heather's question and I'm going to raise it, the ante. Okay. Does it then bother you? Because when I think of athletes, I think of, they get in the zone, they get in the game. You see so many of them kind of explode with like reporters or like cameramen or different people that kind of get in the way of like they've gotten in the zone.
I see where you're
right?
going. Yeah.
Does it bother you when you're about to say Mass and somebody says, "Hey, Father, can you hear my confession real quick?" Is this too controversial? You know what I'm saying?
No, it's good. It's a good question. I thought you were going to be more vague than specifically confession.
I'm calling it out specific.
Yeah, no, confession is okay. Confession is like the most important thing that I can do moment to moment. If possible, I will always say yes, even if I'm grumpy about it. I know it's important. If somebody asked me 1 minute before a Sunday Mass, I would have to say, no, I'm sorry, but I'll hear it after Mass.
Fair.
It's just how it is. But
and recently,
go
ahead. Yeah.
But just like generally speaking, say, in this like ideal world I'm painting, I had like 20 minutes to just pray in the sacristy before Mass, and somebody came in and was like, "Could you hear my confession?" No, I would not be like,
I'm in the zone.
You have disturbed my peace as I am preparing. How dare you? It's like, no, this is something worth like leaving prayer for. And not to get long-winded again, but like in general, when priests pray at their church, that's kind of a phenomenon, is that people will come up to you and will say things. And sometimes they're just saying hi and they're trying to be nice. And it is a little irritating sometimes of like, okay, I was praying.
Right.
Okay, you don't actually need anything. But it is good to see you. Always good to see you. Right. But if somebody has something important like a confession, yes, that is or if there's some emergency, like, yeah, there are many reasons to leave prayer for the sake of charity.
Right.
Yeah. And this would be that.
And recently, to go a little long-winded-ness, is you've been doing this thing. I've seen you like a few times when I've done the live stream. I'll walk out into the church and you'll be sitting like
calling me out for something.
Well, like, okay, so you're in your cassock. You have this black St. Anne's mask. You look a little bit like Kylo Ren from Star Wars, and you're just sitting on the altar, like in the priest chair, which is like reminds me of that scene in the throne room before they like do that whole scene with like him and Rey fight.
Yeah, like the greatest fight.
Yeah, like with
of all
the Red
Wars.
Soldier people.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
awesome
Yeah.
fight.
Oh, it was awesome. But like every time I see it, your arms are just like up on the rest. I walk in and like your eyes are closed, like you're meditating about to like toss a lightsaber through somebody. Like, what is that in your pre-mass thing?
No, that's exactly what I was just describing. So like, there's a lot of people who need to be in the sacristy. There's a lot going on there, and it's not, and there's nowhere to sit.
Right.
And so I've found that like wherever I go for sort of pre-mass prep, it's not sort of a secluded enough place where I can actually just take a few moments and collect myself and do the prayer thing, unless I go sit in the priest chair up in the sanctuary, because nobody will come up there.
Unless some idiot who's running the live stream has to ask a question. It's like, hey, what are you doing?
Are you going to do the announcements? So yeah, that's why I started sitting up
awesome.
there. It is part of the pre-mass ritual at this point.
That's cool.
And it just
I hope everybody thinks of
organically.
Kylo Ren also, like from this point on, like from Star Wars. So I want to echo prayer. I pray for the night, pray with the group, pray with the core team. Heather, it was like the nicest thing that you asked me, but mine has no ritual significance, anything. So, but I can speak towards athletes, pregame rituals. I've like looked up, there are so many athletes that are like so superstitious. Like, okay,
baseball players especially.
Especially like deep dive in baseball players and things like that. Like growing up, being a Yankees fan, like Wade Boggs remind me of their third baseman. One game, he ate like a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, and like he played outstanding. Like that was his pregame ritual. Like had to do
from
that.
then on.
Yeah, like
can't change it.
Yeah, like things like that where I'm like, what? But like I kind of did that growing up. I was like, oh wait, I like wear this shirt or this, like, or these socks or like Jordan. We heard of he wears his college North Carolina shorts under his pro shorts. We saw that in Space Jam and all that. But, also, you got LeBron in the powder toss in the air. Is he allowed to do that right now during COVID?
I don't know.
Like, does it go into... Everybody's in a mask and he's like tossing powder in the air and stuff like that. So there are tons. I think there's some cool ones.
New Zealand rugby team.
Oh, the like
they do the
what's it called? Haka? No.
It's something like that.
Something like that?
I don't know the name
If I just said something offensive in another language, I apologize.
Yeah, we're very sorry. No, but that's pretty cool and super intimidating.
Or like Yasiel Puig licks his bat. Isn't that weird?
That is pretty weird, but I could see how that would freak you out as a pitcher.
Yeah,
what
like
are you doing?
Very weird. Very weird.
It's not a sword.
Yeah. So there's a lot. I mean,
Also
anybody
weird.
stick out for you? Like sports wise or
Nah, not really.
like any weird golf ones you've ever seen?
Ooh.
I mean, they do all the thing like lining up a drive or like a hit, like some are like
Yeah. But there's also like different people have totally different rituals for arriving at the range, and it's this many hours before the thing. I never followed anybody in particular on that. I certainly have my own.
Okay.
But maybe I'll
we'll
leave that for some other time.
We'll leave it out there. There you go. All right. So next question. Biggest fan asked this.
What's up, biggest fan?
What's up? As someone who has recently watched the movie Rudy for the first time, I'm now curious with what issues Father Paul has with it and would like to know what they are. On that note, what is a good way to discern what movies we as Christians should watch or should avoid? For instance, is it moral for a Christian to watch a movie that has been rated R due to impurity, strong language, or violence it contains. So you got two things in here. We got the Rudy debate that me and you love going at, because I love Notre Dame. Huge Notre Dame fan. They're my college team, and diehard Notre Dame fan. And when I found out you couldn't stand Rudy, I thought our friendship was over. The podcast was doomed, everything. So we got that. Mm-hmm. And then you got the second one, which is really interesting. Yeah. As Christians, and this specifically they target R-rated, but there's plenty of, nowadays, PG-13. It doesn't, the ratings, not so much on the rating part, but like as a Christian, can you watch a movie with like strong language, impurity, violence, different things like that? So, Rudy.
Okay. And
I almost just like poured my whole coffee cup on the mic. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Computer, and on the soundboard.
Yeah. Okay.
All of it. So, I'm actually a big Notre Dame fan too. As far as
are you?
Yeah, as far as it goes.
I never knew
with
that.
Like me being a big fan of anything college sports. I just never got into them enough.
Right.
It was hard in Bermuda growing up.
That's kind of like the story of your life. Like every time it's like, well, Bermuda. I'm like, yeah, okay.
We couldn't watch the Super Bowl some years, let alone college sports. Anyway, so my thing about Rudy is I believe true, but also not terribly well informed on my part. I've just heard that he was kind of a jerk. I've seen the movie.
Like, who'd you hear that from? Like, you read it, or like, did somebody be like, "Oh, actually, I knew him. He wasn't a nice guy."
No, I've heard from people who went to Notre Dame, and I've heard it in like articles and stuff.
But does that go back to our one episode, which is like these driven people, kind of are like punks?
Yeah, the thing is, he wasn't good.
Well.
So okay,
was he not good, or like would he actually be the case of like based on in football? Size is huge.
Yes.
Like, and he didn't have the size. And he worked his way as somebody who never should have made. Like, I mean, at that time, like a Notre I see the fan. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, there's some point of like being like, was that just like hard work and probably came across as like a jerk because he was like so intense and had to be to like gain respect because he was so small?
I don't know, man. I mean, the movie was great and inspiring. I like the movie, but I just heard that the real life Rudy was, I don't know, not that good and kind of a jerk. And I've heard that confirmed by people who went to Notre Dame.
I want these people on. Call them in.
So that's my whole thing. I know that there's
but like
actually
as a
more
movie,
to the movie's nice.
Nice.
It's a nice movie.
I mean, okay, name your top football movie then. If you don't say the same movie,
Remember the Titans.
Okay,
obviously.
You. Okay, yeah. All right.
Here's my thing. When discerning, right? We've talked about discernment, principles of discernment before, and I really like the approach of, do I want this and can I do it?
Or are we moving to the second part of the question?
No, I'm talking about Rudy.
Talking about Rudy. I was like,
Rudy wanted to, but he couldn't do it.
Right.
And I think he made a bad discernment to keep trying.
But he got into a game.
Yeah, like garbage time at the very end. So meaningless play.
If the equivalent was in golf, that you like all these years worked to try to make the PGA, and there was some garbage tournament in the PGA that really didn't matter, you're telling me you wouldn't play 18 holes and be like, I played in the PGA?
I would not dedicate 10 years of my life.
Okay, it was 4 years of college, okay? It wasn't 10 years of your life. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think it was like a pity thing. I don't think he like earned his spot. I think
he earned it by, if any of that's true, so you're saying, I would like to hear, he may have been a jerk, but what did the other players think of him?
Yes.
Because that was portrayed.
I want to know that.
Like, no, that was portrayed very much.
Rudy, like,
and that was very much like, hey, so coach, this guy's giving it all. Give him a shot.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking that like the movie departs from reality. But I'm willing to be corrected. I would need to do more research on it.
Right.
I've got this kind of third hand thing going.
Right. Or if there is somebody out there who is relatives with or knows the background, let us know.
Is Rudy still alive? Could we get him on our...
Could we call him up?
Because I'll apologize. I don't know. Like, that would be cool, right?
That would be cool. Yeah, I think you're greatly exaggerating the success of this podcast to be able to get Rudy on it. Anyway.
Like, when did that happen? How old would he be?
I don't know.
It's kind of set in, like, old school a little bit, but...
I don't know. I'll look it up.
I don't think it's that far. Okay, you want me to talk about movies?
Well, I think Biggest Fan brings up a very interesting thing that I've had very intense debates on with teens, with priests, about different people, to just say, what's the line there? Because some people will say to me, well, and I think they're being completely honest. They're saying, you know what, some type of impurity or that, like, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't lead me to sin. It doesn't lead me down any negative road. You know, violence, I think that one needs to be qualified with, like, are we depicting a war? Are we depicting violence just for the sake of violence? You know, just gore for the sake of gore. Strong language as well. Like, I think a lot about war movies where I'm like, yeah, they probably were cursing as bullets were flying by them.
Yeah, like, can a Catholic watch Saving Private Ryan, which is this incredible movie, but also has, like, a lot of intensity to
like
it?
the series Band of Brothers, I think of. Things like that.
Yeah, those... So for me, like, the impurity thing, maybe we should do, like, a longer segment on this.
We probably can dive into it,
like
but a little few
like
thoughts.
A quick answer right now. I've heard people say that before, that it doesn't lead me into sin. So, like, what they're saying is...
But is it still good? That's my thing.
Well, yeah.
No.
There's that. And I don't know. I hear a lot of confessions. I don't think that we're as strong as we think we are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we need to take the near occasion of sin, which is what you're talking about here,
right,
more seriously. And I think that the standards of our culture regarding what is pure and what is not are so different than anything close to Christianity. That, like, no, if there's a moment, I know I'm going to sound prudish or whatever, but, like, I don't think you should watch it. I think you're putting yourself in serious danger.
Now, are you talking about all three of those things, or are you talking?
No, I'm talking specifically about purity, because we have something.
I think language is a little different.
Yeah, language is the one that I don't really care that much about, honestly.
Right, we're not condoning. We're not condoning.
Obviously, not blaspheming, but
right. Actually, that bothers me way more than, like, somebody.
No, it's really serious, and it's so casual. But yeah, there's something in our particular fallen human nature that we're just easily susceptible to this kind of sin,
right?
Regarding matters of purity, and so it's like, I say, stay away. If it means you can't watch TV, fine. Right. Like, I know that sounds, again, prudish and a bit crazy. Right. Oh, extremist, but, like, if it's going to lead you into sin, why would you ever freely choose that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, with the statistics nowadays, and especially working with teens and just seeing people with media and addictions and all that, I mean, the amount of impurity, especially in regards to, pornography, things like that.
Oh,
like, sickening.
It's outrageous. And to say, like, well, the production value of the movie's good or the plot's good or whatever, like, okay, Christians in the early church would condemn the gladiator games, and what if people say, like, you can't go to these and be a Christian? It's blood sport, right? Like, literally blood sport. And if people's response to that was like, well, I mean, they're so well produced, and, like, the special effects are really incredible, and they were in ancient Rome. Like, they, could flood the Colosseum and have boat races. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it an okay thing.
Right.
I don't know. It just it feels to me like we're trying to rationalize
I'm with you 100% on the impurity thing.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that probably are our friends are not with us on that. And
I know.
Yeah.
And
like, and
I've
had those,
many of these conversations too, but I can't sit here and in good conscience counsel anything outside of what I've said.
Now, I have had people, I'll just toss this out as an option. I have had people look up the movie before. So not viewing it like necessarily, I'm not talking.
Oh, and skip over.
Right. So I'm not talking in a theater,
Yeah.
or something like that. But to know, if there is something, skipping over in that, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that could be okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, the language, the violence one is really
it really depends on what kind of thing you're talking about. Like, I do think that, there's a real value to war movies, especially like Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan and that kind of war movie.
Yeah. Dunkirk.
Never saw it.
Oh.
But that's a very different world than what do they call it? Gratuitous violence.
Yeah. Just gory. Or the horror films that are just
I would never go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just there's a book I read once where the guy was like, and this was written maybe 30, 40 years ago, where he was like, if you really want to take the gospel seriously, you should just put an axe through the TV. And I'm not quite willing to do that. I have a smartphone. We have a TV in the rectory.
Right.
I watch certain things and sports and certain TV shows and stuff, but I kind of agree with him and wish I could just be that extreme about it.
Right.
Because when you have clarity about there are eternal consequences to these decisions, and what would, Padre Pio or something do?
Yeah, didn't he tell people get out of his confessional because they aren't truly repentant?
Yeah, he was awesome.
He could also read souls, right? But so that's I guess the difference.
Yeah. Any priest who's listening, you should probably not do that. Just
right. Good practice. No, but you're right. The fact that why would you jeopardize something where you're for it to be but the value, but I need to see that. Really? Over eternal?
Our gospel last weekend. What does it gain you or what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
Yeah. I think JP2 said that.
Yeah. No, it's actually Thomas More from Man for All Seasons, which is an amazing movie.
But that's the thing.
And then he goes, but for whales, the whole world. But whales.
I will toss out, though. And I'm not saying, though, on the other side, being so just watch poorly produced Christian movies. Right. I'm sorry. I'm not. There are terrible ones that I'm I will not the acting is terrible. The production, and I'm not justifying the other either. I'm just saying okay, I'm not going to be then my kid can only watch this movie. I'm not going to name it because somebody will then be I watched that movie. I love it. I'm that's terrible. Right.
Yeah.
But
no, they are terrible.
Because it brings up, didn't that new movie, the Fatima movie, just come out?
Yeah, I heard it was actually really good.
We'll have to see it.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to take us to see it, I actually don't think it's in theaters, but if, somebody gets us a screening of it, we'll do a review. We'll do an episode on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
cool.
We're cool. All right. We're long-winded. We'll cut it off there for this episode of Prodigal, and Priest, and me. That was a fun one. I enjoyed it. And hey, anybody who knows Rudy, let us know. We'll get him on the show. Or
Please
we'll get
do.
you on the show. So on behalf of Joey Scansella, Father Paul Bechter, take care.
God bless.